What if setting up a crypto wallet was as easy as logging into your email? And what if AI agents could manage your money while you sleep and actually follow your precise rules? Now that's either going to sound like the stuff of nightmares or an incredibly exciting future, depending on which side of the fence you sit on. Well, today's guest isn't here to hype up the future. He's already building it. He's the co-founder and CEO of Magic Labs, which is the team behind over 50 million wallet onboardings, and also the brains behind Magic Newton, a protocol that could give AI agents safe and trustworthy control over your digital assets. And best of all, forget seed phrases, gas fees, and all that complex stuff. Sean wants to make crypto feel as smooth as sending a text message. And the next step, AI agents acting like financial concierges with guardrails that you define. Well, today's episode is packed with some straight talk about crypto UX, the broken bits of blockchain, and the massive trust gap in AI automation. So if you've ever wondered how wallets, AI, and finance might eventually come together, or why your future might include an AI fund manager, this episode is just what you've been waiting for. But enough from me. Let's get straight into it now. So thank you for joining me on the podcast today. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Sean. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Magic Labs. I study software engineering at Waterloo, but I'm a designer at heart. And since I graduated, I continue to try and build dev tools and simplify infrastructure. And back in 2015, my first startup was acquired by a company called Docker in the Silicon Valley, which the product then became Docker Desktop. And I was inspired by Ethereum vision back in 2016. And just continued to build in the space. I did the same thing. I noticed an opportunity to really simplify user onboarding and user experience, and started the company Magic back in 2018 as the first company to ever create a crypto wallet with a one-click email, SMS, social login. Now it's everywhere. And so, I love doing this, building dev tools and infrastructure, kind of like factorial the world, with better digital infrastructure. So, that's a quick, intro.
Love it. And so much to unpack there. Engineer, designer, world of crypto, wallets, etc. And one of the things I always love doing is finding more about my guest's origin story. So tell me a little bit more about your origin story, how Magic Newton builds on the work that you've done with Magic Labs, because it feels like there's a big story here.
Yeah, it's a long story too for over 7 years. So we've been building in the crypto space through the up and down for over 7 years. And it kind of leads back to back in 2016. We mentioned when I first got introduced to Ethereum kind of randomly. And I was really inspired because it's not just about, here's another cryptocurrency, but it's more about building programmable trust in our digital infrastructure. And I think that vision really, really resonated, right? And you can think about all these use cases, like DeFi was talked about, like NFTs, different governance structures that's in a decentralized way. And so that was just like infinitely inspiring and energizing. So I jumped right into building just some side projects at the time. And kind of coming from a designer background, when I did user research, no one could get started because at that time, not only the users have to learn like what a Ethereum is, right? What's a gas fee, but also setting up a wallet, right? Which means they'll have to write down this 12-word or 24-word something called seed phrase. Basically, it's like pirate's treasure, writing up the coordinates and like
Yeah.
burying it somewhere. And I just felt like, well, the vision is so big, but we're so early. We need to solve that problem so people can just get started in the first place, before they can explore this new world, right? So yeah, that was kind of like a really simple way to start an idea. It wasn't like, okay, I did some market analysis. I was just like, okay, something like this had to exist. And yeah, here we went and we built this really simple developer SDK that devs can embed in their application to enable this email-based flow, right? Instead of having to write down the seed phrase. So that was the idea. Actually, faced a lot of scrutiny back then because it's supposed to be more like burying pirate's treasure in a more dogmatic way back then. But the space have evolved, quite a bit since then. Now it's a standard, right, to log in using these familiar Web 2.0 style auth methods. But also we're seeing adoption of like stable coins, tokenized stocks, these type of digital assets that everyday user is much more comfortable and familiar with. And yeah, so we grow with the space, through multiple cycles, and to date we've onboarded over 50 million wallets to date. We work with some of the breakout mainstream crypto applications like Polymarket, like Helium on like the decentralized infrastructure side. And from that to enterprises, even like Mattel, Forbes Web3, and also Naver, which is kind of like the Google of Korea. So our mission has always been just getting more adoption in the space. And we've reached a point where I'm noticing something new happening, right? It's like instead of a billion users getting onboarded to crypto, now there's agents, right, as part of the picture too. Like there could be trillions of agents too. And still, like on the user side, using it is pretty hard still. Like after you create a wallet, now you got to learn all these concepts. And I believe that's like a perfect synergy, right, between like the development that's been happening in crypto and also in AI. So you can have these like programmable, automated digital assets that like drastically increases the efficiency, right, of the overall system. So recently we launched a protocol called Newton, which is a layer on top of these wallets. So like these wallets were like simpleton wallets, right? They're just like a public-private key pair that stores assets. But all these wallets can actually be enabled in a secure and trusted way to be fully automated by AI agents. When users can actually provide these guardrails, and so agent can provably show that they've actually followed the guardrails and stay honest. So I think this is like the next like frontier that like nobody's talking about. So yeah, like that's a kind of some background and what we're up to next.
Well, huge congratulations. I mean, 15 million wallets is phenomenal. And listening to you there talk about gas fees and seed phrases, I think it's why that so many outside of crypto, Twitter, Discord, Telegram, and Reddit communities, people outside of that feel that there's like a growing consensus that the current crypto UX feels a little broken, and that's what's holding back adoption in some circles. So what are the main issues that you see with wallets today, and how are you at Magic Newton addressing some of those limitations and increasing adoption as a result?
There's a lot theories on like why UX is broken, and I would say my take it's actually we need to rethink what are applications on the blockchain. Yeah. Right. So when we first started, it was actually just Ethereum. It's like one chain, one Ethereum chain. All the applications are like built on top of that. It's a full stack app that talks to a smart contract, right? That's deployed on the Ethereum blockchain. And the space just was kind of stuck there. yeah, now there's, okay, so let's say it doesn't scale. So now there's a new chain, but same applications. Oh, now there's a different VM. Instead of EVM, it's Solana VM. Now we build a Solana application. So, and then there's the wallets, right? So there's wallets for Ethereum, wallets for um, Solana, for the Sui ecosystem. And there's these protocols on one chain that needs to be replicated across chains. And so it's actually a huge problem with fragmentation that significantly impacts the user experience. And I'm just here thinking, it's like, oh, like if you extrapolate out user experience of crypto, like what people are looking for is they want to deposit money somewhere and like more comes out the other end. Right? That's really like kind of the experience. Of course, there's like the social and fun element of this too. Kind of like a global like virtual game, right? But like at least on the asset side, that's what people are looking for. And in some cases, you get better yield with stablecoin than the banks. Even just parking your money in crypto is better, right, than the de facto. So, but like when users come in, it's like, okay, which stablecoin? How do I get started? How do I earn yield? Like all of that is still very, very complicated. So where I see this evolving is there's many people solving like discovery problems. So there's like social distribution, like company aggregating, kind of like the early days of the internet, like portals into the Web3 world, recommending things that you can do. But I see a world where AI agents can do a lot of that for you, right? They're aware of all the context, all the protocols, all the chains, and sort of aggregating that into a very simple experience where the user can come in and say, okay, I have like $5,000. Help me find the best yield, right? While making sure the volatility is low and the downside is protected, right? So, and then they'll go out and just do all these things cross chains. And, you know, I think that's the UX like future for crypto and and sort of abstracting away all the applications, the protocols, the chains, the complexities in between. Um, and making sure it's safe, right? Also, that's like what we're heavily invested in because I don't think that future is like super far away. So essentially, I think the applications will consolidate into three types in crypto. You're going to have like the social aspects of it, right? And then you're going to have like financial rails, like getting money in, exchanges, you know, that kind of stuff. And then you're going to have a bunch of agents that replaces these traditional like full stack front end applications that could be so much more easier to create as well for a developer. So you can have like a lot more of them. Um, so yeah, that's where I think the UX is today and where I think it'll be in the future.
And looking to the future, before you came on, I was reading that you said everyone with an email address will eventually have an AI agent. So very forward thinking there and forward looking. Is the current infrastructure ready for a shift like this? And what are the missing pieces to make that vision a reality, do you think?
Yeah, I think if we're kind of looking at how people have been using AI agents, there's a couple of things about it. One is like people are already using AI a lot. Like you sign up to ChatGPT, there's a bunch of conversations, right? And just imagine like, and then each conversation has like its own context. And just imagine each of them will be running like autonomously doing its own task. So not only each person will have one agent, but like many agents, like your own team, like your own company of agents, just helping you with certain tasks. And I think the biggest problem with agents today is that they're actually not fully autonomous. So we're not really getting the benefit of all these agents and capabilities out there, and everything requires like human like confirmation, right? At the last step. So, but there's like longer running tasks or something that takes a bit of time. And that is like being framed as an agent, right? And but it's not really like, okay, I'm sleeping and the agent is like doing stuff for me and shopping for me, right? Um, so I think, and then I ask people why. I have this conversation a lot, and people tell me that yeah, like for they're super scared about agent just going full autonomous, agent touching my money, and I think it all comes down to a trust problem with the agents. And it just turns out that blockchain is exactly solving the trust problem in a digital way. And so I think for agents to be prolific, there needs to be like policies and guardrails and protection that is at the protocol level, at the infrastructure level, fundamentally to almost like regulate these agents. Like think of it like a constitution for agents, right? That can be set. These kind of new entities on the internet. So like it goes something from as simple as, oh, the agent can only move this much money per month to these specific places or buy these kind of specific kind of assets. And then the user just deposits money in a vault, right? And then the agent can just move for you, right? So within the constraints, to something maybe a bit more like expressive, like, oh, the agent can pull data from the internet, like, oh, if the volatility is low, then I will rebalance your portfolio. If it's high, then I'll do something else, right? So you can set something that's a bit more specific. And this even extends to other type of adoption, like around institutions and enterprises. Like, for example, the agent can only do something if the user is KYC, right? So, so yeah, like there's a wide range of scenario this can unlock. But yeah, I would say to unlock full automation, there needs to be a policy engine built at the protocol level, and that's why, like we're just working on the security and trust problem with the Newton policy protocol. Because I think everyone else is focused on the capabilities of AI, and I think it's going to get there pretty quickly. But we're kind of building the ark before the flood, because we're already seeing all this exploits coming in. Like context manipulation attacks, where like people can manipulate the agent context to reveal sensitive information. A lot of the agent security is bound by like prompts too, which is like can be circumvented, right? It's almost like socially engineering, right? So yeah, I think there's like a lot of work to do there. Yeah.
Yeah, you raised so many great points there. And of course, with AI-driven finance, it brings exciting new capabilities. But on the flip side of that, there are a few serious risks. So how do you at Magic Newton ensure that AI agents align with the user intent, especially in high-speed trading environments that could quickly get out of control? How do you keep the AI agents in check there?
So there's going to be, just like, smart contracts, there's going to be a piece of code that people can write using like a simple declarative language that can be evaluated into basically allow or deny, right?
Yeah.
And this code will be protected by like cryptographic security using zero knowledge proofs. Or if you want more performance, you can use like economic securities through like staking and slashing. So we're looking at working with some of the existing players like EigenLayer on kind of using their AVS service. So a bit technical, but if I were to try to simplify it, is for people to publish these agents, they have to commit a collateral to use these agents, and let's say if more collateral is committed, the agent can move larger amounts of money. And then through better reputation, they can move more and more. But let's say if the agent operator fails to submit a proof, that fund is going to get slashed and redistributed to the end users as kind of a guarantee, which is like a pretty cool mechanism. And the more people come in and stake, the validators that's checking the agent operators, the agents committing collateral, more historical reputation build up through like a marketplace, that's eventually going to increase the level of trust that users will be comfortable with these agents. So that's kind of the vision here. Just kind of like Ethereum, there's a lot of stakers. With Bitcoin, there's a lot of like miners. I think all of them can ladder up to being called like an economic security, which means like the cost of compromising the system will be more than like the current system, right? So and that's why there's like not a lot of incentive actually for these guys to destroy Bitcoin, right? So yeah, like I think that is economic security, but there's also a lot of great developments on the zero knowledge proof side, which is like a little bit more expensive, but more guarantee mathematically. So there's like many ways that's getting mature enough in crypto. That's going from just theoretical to being able to be used more in a practical sense. And there's like so many things you can do with this, but we're starting with like just a simple code, right, for the policy engine. And because that's where we think it's like the most executable, right? Like the most like easier to execute, and policy engines is like a pretty common concept in just like tech, right, at large for like systems requiring more security. So
yeah, and a few moments ago you were saying you were almost apologetic when you said that how technical it is, but it is a technical space, and that is a good thing. And I know a lot of people in the space get a little frustrated when people go too high level and they want to know more about what goes under the hood, what, and some of those technicalities. But again, on the flip side of that, there are many users that want a more simplified user experience in Web3. That has been one of the big challenges. And I think there's so many different technologies that we don't understand how it works. I would challenge a lot of people listening to explain to me how electricity works. We all just kind of rely on it. It is invisible and it works. You know. So what steps are you taking at Magic Newton to make crypto and AI more accessible to everyday users?
First, it's just trying a bunch of stuff, right? What works. Is it an LLM based experience where conversational makes it easier? Is it like a hybrid where you can pop up like a contextual form, kind of like Canvas, right? And then kind of chat and click, or and that's where my new thesis is actually around kind of if what I mentioned before, if you extrapolate the UX, it's really a deposit box, right? That executes a different kind of strategy, right? Like, say it could be as simple as a dollar cost averaging strategy, where you deposit in this box, and then the agent or a bot or bot assisted human or anyone, right, can at a monthly basis draw a certain amount, right, and buy into Bitcoin, Ethereum in like a balanced portfolio. Or this deposit box could help you chase the best yield, right, across protocols and different chains within like a risk parameter that and preference you set. Or it could be something fun like copy trading, like inverse Jim Cramer, right? So there's like all this kind of strategies, and that's bound by a policy that protects the users. And the interface is really this vault that the user can deposit their funds in, and they can draw it out anytime. So I think most of crypto kind of boils down to this, like whether you're a new user who's seeking some basic yields, like on your US dollar, or a degen, right, who's just chasing things everywhere. It's still optimizing for that yield ultimately, right? And so just being able to look at it at like a fundamental level, like really helps think of the better UX because it's a very confusing space, right? And there's of course going to be like the fun stuff too. There's going to be like the social element, coining something I write on Twitter, right? Or like meme coins. I think that's like fun also. Um, but also a lot of that can also be incorporated right into these trading strategies too. Like you can have something that only trades meme coins also. So yeah, I think that's the experience I'm thinking about, like a robot fund manager kind of experience, or like a concierge that shops for you, right? Based on your preference, kind of like a personal assistant with budget, who can book your travels, set up like a computer, like I set up a personal computer. I needed to research and buy all this everything. There's like a bunch of components, and it could just be like, okay, I want to build a computer, recommend some specs, and then I just click buy, and then just goes out there, spends stable coins, and ships right to my door. I think that's not too far away in my opinion. Maybe I'm like optimistic, but yeah, like I think that's the kind of experience I'm thinking about. It's less thinking, just more like, okay, here's what I want. And an agent does the reasoning, the cognition, figuring out the details. And then there's like the execution layer, right? That goes out and calls all these APIs or blockchain protocols and to get things done. The users don't really have to know where they need to go. And I think of this more like the next evolution of Google, right? Where when the internet first came out, people don't know what to do, right? So there's like these front pages that's like really complicated that people have to browse. And then Google came along with a great product. It's like an intent-based experience, right? So the users say, okay, like what's this, right? And then the search engine gives you a great results. You browse those results. You find a website that interests you, and then you go through that website conversion funnel, and then eventually buy something, right? Like it's not like it was a huge improvement from the past, but still, there now with AI, you can shorten that path from A to B in an instant, right? So, and maybe you're not even sure what you want. Maybe you're kind of sure, and they can help you to be sure and goes out there and buys it for you, right? So I think that is another step to making tech even more seamless, right, in our day-to-day lives. And I think when it comes to tech, it's like it becomes more seamless. It becomes more democratized and more automation, right? So people can get more of their life back. And I think that's what I think like technology, like it's like a natural force towards that. Yeah.
It really is. And you've created a beautiful vision there of a future where agents begin to take on much more than just trade execution. They can go out and buy stuff for you. They can book trips for you. And when you look at where we're heading here, what capabilities do you see emerging next? And what should both users and developers alike be doing to prepare for this evolution? Because it feels inevitable. Everything you said there, that's where we're heading. So what should users and developers be doing to prepare for this?
Like people are still adjusting to this new reality, right?
Yeah.
Like just like when Google first came out, a lot of people don't know how to use it, right? Same with AI, right? I think a lot of times people aren't really using AI properly, or they don't know all the tools that AI need to really function, and also understanding the implications of a lot of things too, like providing data to this agent. That could be used in the court, right? So there's a lot of education that I recommend that like end users do to really one, protect themselves, but also um, maximize their output, right? By knowing all this, by using all these tools correctly. Like, even myself, I'm learning, but like younger folks are like arming themselves with like all these tools. I'm still like trying to keep up. This space is evolving so quickly, right? And I think just education on the user side, just like any nascent industry, very, very important. And I think on the developer side, I think it's really about um, I wish there's more tooling actually.
Mm.
Yeah. Right now it's like a little bit still a bit difficult to create like an agent that works really, really well. Like you get all these tools, um but it's like I want to make like a trading agent. It's still a little bit hard to get started. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping like maybe it's us, maybe it's like other people in the ecosystem can like bridge the gap, and eventually it could be like point and click, right? I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like creating art. You don't want the artists to create their own paintbrush and paper. So like all these, we need like so many of these tools, and then artists with the inspiration and intuition can come in and find the right tools and do something great. And so that's my current thoughts. I think there's a lot of gaps on the of course the trust and security side that I think are limiting factors to how autonomous you can make the agent be. And I think um like the intersection with that and crypto is a good place to start uh for us, because um it's more standardized, like how you
Mm.
interact with these on-chain protocols compared to like Web2 APIs. Like different company have different like APIs. Like it's just a lot. But it's gonna have to get there eventually. So
Love it. And I love that artistic analogy that you use. And of course, for yourselves at Magic Newton, looking to the future, how do you see yourselves fitting into that wider AI and fintech ecosystem as it not only evolves but opens up? What kind of impact do you hope to have on the future of this space?
I think we're entering a world where um it will become more like agent or AI native, right? And I think um like traditional institutions, but it's going to take a long time to really catch up to this fast, very rapid evolution. And I think the power of the blockchain is programmable trust. I'm saying blockchain in a general way here. There's a lot that's happening, like all this kind of cryptography and innovation here. Um, and I think so far blockchain has helped prove like what happened on the chain. Um, and and that's great, right? It's like money indeed got moved from here to there, right? And you can check on the block explorer. Um, but with agent, um, I think the what is not enough. You actually need to prove the why. The reasoning of why the agent did certain things, and whether the agent have actually followed the user's predefined rules or not. Uh, that part is very, very important in an automated world. So, um, so yeah, like we want to play a part in that why, right? And build this digital institution that can help protect users by creating more trust with the AI agents. And wallet is a piece of that, right? Wallet is like how you get started. And in some ways, it's used as a signer, right? Like an agent for agent to move funds in somewhere else. It also needs a private key. And maybe you don't really store funds in that private key, but you use that as a remote control, and then you can, yeah, it's like implementation details, but you need a lot of wallets like for these agents. But some of these wallets don't have to store funds. They're kind of a remote control. So I think, yeah, we're both gonna provide the infrastructure for that like remote control. but also the security and trust layer for an autonomous world. So, yeah, like we want to create this digital institution that can help like regulate these autonomous agents. Um, Either developers can set these policies, or the users can set these policies. And I think that's a first step to us really trusting AI agents and feeling secure and uncomfortable, especially when it comes to money. So I think that's yeah, like making it more transparent and yeah, that's where I think we'll fit in.
Wow, and I think that is a powerful moment to end on. But before I do let you go, you've shared your insights. I'm now going to ask you to leave one final gift for everyone listening. We have an Amazon wish list where I ask my guests to leave a book that they'd recommend. So what book would you recommend that we add to that list and why?
So one book that really inspired me was called The Forced Turning, written by Neil Howe and William Strauss. And it kind of talks about these natural cycles in our society, called a saeculum, which is about 80 to 100 years, about a length of a human time. And there's 4 seasons to every cycle, like almost like spring, summer, fall, and winter. And essentially, it captures the rise and collapse of institutions and the birth of new paradigms of institution that replaces them. And you can sort of measure these cycles with people's trust in existing institution. And so when I read this, it's like prophetic almost in some way. This was written a while back. And I think blockchain, crypto, all these kind of decentralized infrastructure that solves the trust problem in a digital native world. It's almost like an emergent arc before the flood kind of scenario. And that drives more efficient and decentralized digital institution that's going to be needed to fill the gaps, right, in this transition from old to new. And yeah, I just went crazy and finished the book in like a weekend. And I was completely hooked. So highly recommend it.
Wow. Well, I'll get that added straight to our Amazon wish list. I will check that one out myself as well. You've sold it to me. And for everyone listening, wanting to find out more information about Magic Newton, some of the things that we talked about, join your passionate community as well. Where would you like to point everyone?
Yeah, so you can, we're pretty active on X, so you can follow us on Magic Newton, at Magic Newton, and my personal handle as well, where I talk about a lot of these things via tweets. So my Twitter handle is _Sean Lee, SEANLI. And also you can learn more about Magic Newton at magicnewton.com. So yeah, that's where you will find us.
Well, I'll add links to everything. I was looking on your X account for Magic Newton earlier, and there's a great line on there. I think you said, crypto UX is broken, AI can't be trusted, but Newton sets you free. And I read that, and it obviously made me smile a little. But having listened to you today, we've covered all of those things and a strong argument behind all three. So thank you for bringing this to life today. Really appreciate your time.
Good to be here, and yeah, thank you for the great conversation.
So, crypto UX is broken. AI can't be trusted. But maybe, just maybe, Sean and Magic Newton are onto something that could fix both. We're talking vaults that run investment strategies, agents that don't go rogue, and a world where depositing funds means something useful. Means something useful actually happens without you having to babysit the entire process. But I must admit, as a control freak on stuff like that, I'd like to be in full control. But having listened to my guests today, they're not just building new tools, they're building a new relationship with automation, one where intent, transparency, and control, all these things collectively matter more than buzzwords or marketing hype. So kudos to them for that. And I think Sean laid out a bold and practical vision today. They're building an wallets become remote controls. AI agents do the heavy lifting, and users, they get to stop worrying about seed phrases and start asking better questions like, What do I want my money to be doing while I sleep? That seems to be where we're heading. Where do you stand on that? techblogwriteroutlook.com. Website is techtalksnetwork.com. Leave me a voice message or send me a DM on any of my socials at Neil C. Hughes. But that's it for today. So thanks for listening as always, and I'll speak with you all again very soon. Bye for now.